I want to go back to DeSantis supporter Jordan Peterson and give just a brief sample as we get into the last few minutes of the post game of his commentary in the, I believe, 3 days since he's been restored to Twitter, where he's been a very busy boy. It took me a lot of scrolling to get to some of these tweets that I wanted to include.
That's for sure. I mean, the only way to describe it is like a tweet ejaculation. It's been building up for a long time, a real long time, and it just exploded outwards. Because I tried following him, and I was like, yeah, I'm not going to bother reading all that. I have too much work to do at the end of the semester. I'll just wait till he says something particularly sanctimonious or offensive.
Yeah, exactly. So we have this one. I will say I did enjoy, although it's interesting that he would portray himself this way. This was his initial comment on being restored to Twitter. I'm back. Thanks at Elon Musk with a picture of Jack Nicholson in The Shining doing his "Here's Johnny" moment, where he's cut open the door with an axe.
One of my top 5 favorite movies, actually. Might even be in top 3.
I'm right there with you. Yeah, that is a great movie. I wonder about people who would identify with Jack Torrance, but
yeah, I thought that too. I was like, all right, I guess.
Let's see. Here we go. He's getting excited about some article about Disney suffering some kind of business setback, which the article, it's the Telegraph, is blaming Disney being excessively woke. The headline is "Disney is paying the price for taking sides in the culture war." And Dr. Peterson says, Unilever too, on guard, ESG and DIE propagandists, your days are numbered. Actually, I always forget. I forget what ESG even stands for, which is funny because the Curtis Yarvin debate, somebody was bringing it up in the Q&A, and I had to be like, wait, what? And they told me it's one of these. I know DIE is diversity,
inclusion, and equity.
Diversity, equity, inclusion. ESG is some shit like that like people like this are obsessed with. It literally doesn't matter. Let's see. Here we go. Here's a tweet praising former Vice President Mike Pence. I think Pence is a genuinely decent man. Here's one accusing, I believe, says at Joel Harden. I assume ONDP is Ontario NDP.
This one actually really offended. Oh, yeah. Joel Harden is a member of provincial parliament for the Ontario NDP, so Progressive Political Party in Ontario. What really offended me about Dave Jacobs' comment there is, if you look closely, he talks a lot about internal wars that take place within the Middle East, which is very important, but nowhere do you actually see the U.S. invasion of Iraq or the U.S. invasion of Afghanistan, which is conveniently whitewashed out of that little commentary.
Yeah, exactly.
And Canada is a big participant in that. So
we were a very active participant in the war in Afghanistan. To our shame, I should say. Politically,
yeah.
Not that I have nothing against the vets who served there. A lot of them, including people I know, suffered a lot, and
yeah, well, I mean, this is one of the reasons to oppose these wars, but yes. So this is Jordan Peterson accusing this Canadian Social Democrat NDP parliamentarian of being an anti-Semite for criticizing Israel, and there's some whataboutism that includes death tolls of various Middle East conflicts that are don't involve Israel, but also, of course, as you point out, kind of missing the elephant in the room. Like the Iran-Iraq war is included, but the U.S. invasion of Iraq is not.
Which I should say is also very selectively chosen, since that took place in the 1980s. Also involved the United States sending weapons to both sides. So even there, we're not entirely exonerated from it, right? But Gulf War I, Gulf War II, the U.S. invasion, all of which took place after Iran-Iraq war, none of that's included, right? So being a little fast and loose with facts and history and reality again.
Yeah, exactly. This next one I actually think in certain ways is the most disturbing of all of them. Especially when you think about Peterson's shtick being that he's like sort of guiding, confused, alienated young men of the kind who might do something horrible in more positive, life-affirming directions. So,
I don't know, Ben. Like all the shit about Disney and how obsessed they are with like what Minnie Mouse is wearing, what she's doing, who she's dating. That to me is a little bit strange. I can't say that I've ever really fixated on what the mice were doing, but maybe that's just because I lack the kind of cultural and religious depths that somebody like Peterson has.
Let's continue the tour of Jordan Peterson's Twitter. So this is where I'm just including this for context. This is Jagmeet Singh. Am I pronouncing that correctly, Matt?
Jagmeet,
who is I should say, look, I mean, I think that this guy is, I think that it's complicated. He's good and bad in sort of some of the same ways that somebody like, AOC might be, there are criticisms to make, that I would make probably more often if I talk more about Canadian politics, but there are ways in which I think sometimes the Canadian versions of these people also lead too much into culture war stuff in their own way and whatever. But again, this is Jagmeet just tweeting exactly the kind of thing you want a social democratic politician to tweet. He's saying he's talking about how heating bills are going up, and so he's pushing to lift this tax on home heating bills to help working people pay.
Which, by the way, I should point out, isn't even all that controversial policy. The Harper Conservatives actually slashed GST rates when they were in office between 2006 and I think it was the first electoral cycle, 2008. Right, so cutting GST is pretty much something from Canadian politicians from across the spectrum will promise to do, since it's fairly marginal in terms of its impact, but everybody likes to hear it, right?
Yeah, I mean it's a pretty anodyne kind of incremental policy, but it's it seems pretty positive. Let's see how Dr. Peterson responds.
Really? Wow.
His solution: support idiot globalist utopians who make you poor while failing utterly to save the planet, while pillorying everyone who objects as a denier. Even though he's quote tweeting him, he then ends with tagging him just to make sure he sees it. Memo to Dr. Peterson: if Jagmeet follows you on Twitter, he'll get the notification just for the quote tweet, and if he doesn't, the tag isn't going to help.
It's kind of amazing though, also because I remember back in the before times that Ben was talking about when he was debating people like Kathy Newman, people considered him to be something of a respectable right-wing intellectual who was almost above these kinds of really cliche, banal kinds of right-wing rhetoric. In fact, he even tried to deny that he actually was a conservative at that point, because he said, there's this necessary cosmic balance between leftists and rightists that's required in society. Now, it was kind of BS-y and new agey even at that point, but sure, whatever. The fact that he's leaning really hard into the anti-globalist, anti-utopian, whatever it is, Davos elite type rhetoric right now really shows you just how far he's fallen. And it's not like he was at a great summit to begin with, right? We're not talking somebody who was on Mount Everest falling into Nepal or something. We're talking somebody who was on a modest, hill, who just apparently has decided that he wants to descend as quickly as possible to reactionary hell. And maybe we should just let him go all that way. Maybe we'll all be better off if he winds up there faster.
Fair enough. All right. So then similarly, he's doing the same thing on this side of the border. He's quote tweeting Ilhan Omar. Now, I should say the Ilhan Omar tweet that he's quote tweeting is actually kind of dumb, because what Omar is doing, if you look at the tweet, is she's saying, as the whip of the Progressive Caucus, I want to remind folks at Rep. Jeffries and at Rep. K. Clark are active members of CPC running for top leadership positions of the Dem Caucus for the first time. At U.S. Progressive members will hold 2 of the top 3 leadership posts. Now, the reason I'm saying this is kind of a dumb tweet is one of the people she's talking about there is Hakeem Jeffries, who sucks. If you look into any of the details about him, our friend Bronco Marchitich Jacobin just wrote an article. I don't remember the exact title, but it was something along the lines of Nancy Pelosi was awful, but you might miss her, about how much this guy sucks. And he definitely does not share Ilhan Omar's politics, even if he has a membership in the caucus. So all of that's just parenthetical, but yeah, this is Peterson fear mongering about that in this sort of what could go wrong, like saying oh look, these like crazy leftists are taking over Congress, if only. You have been watching free public content from Give Them an Argument. To access every single episode of the show, the main show on Monday nights, all of the streams, all of the debate breakdowns, all of the patron-exclusive postgames on Monday nights, all of the patron-exclusive bonus episodes every week, and much, much more, go to patreon.com/Ben Burgis. I cannot resist ending this with, don't be foolish.